Good morning and welcome. I am Deepta. I lead the solution sales team here at appse AI. And today we are talking about AP and finance close automation with appse AI plus SAP Business One. Leading the solution sales team, I hear the same conversation on almost every call. A finance team that closes the books in more days than they would like to admit. And the reason always traces back to some PDF nobody wants to retype. With me today is Shubham from our pre-sales team who will be running one of our today's live demonstrations alongside me.
Thanks, Deepta. Hi, everyone. I am Shubham, pre-sales executive at appse. Every pre-sales call eventually gets to the same question. Can it handle our weird invoice format? Can your product fetch bank statements properly? So today, we're going to show you the answer instead of promising it. Quick heads up, everything you will see today is live inside an actual SAP B1 instance, not a mock-up. So let's get into it.
Right. So the three things. Right. So the three things that actually stands between you, your team, and a fast close are manual invoice keying. So AP teams retype vendor PDF invoices into SAP Business One line by line, right? So this basically slows down the complete process, and it is also error prone, and it doesn't scale as volume grows. The second scenario is where you close held hostage matching bank statement lines to SAP Business One payments, and that too manually, one transaction at a time. And the third scenario is where the EDI order backlogs. Orders sitting in a queue, waiting for manual transformation and entry, pushing back fulfillment and revenue recognition. So, every one of those is what we are fixing today.
Okay, so here's the shape of today. 3 live demos back to back. Vendor invoice automation, EDI order processing, and bank transactions to incoming payment cycle. Each one running inside real SAP Business One instance. Then we will have an open Q&A where we will answer all your questions live, and we will also show you how to launch your own proof of concept if any of this fits what you're exactly dealing with. Over to Deepta for the first demo.
Thank you, Shubham. So the first demo is actually that shows how we are converting these vendor invoices in PDF format to AP invoices in SAP Business One. In this demonstration, we will cover how right now the AP teams read a vendor PDF invoice, retype every line manually into SAP Business One, and then makes the complete process slow, and every retype has a chance of an error, right? So here's what changes with appse AI. appse AI reads this incoming PDF, vendor PDFs. It extracts the line items, line by line. It checks the existing POs and goods receipts documents, validates each of them, whether the line items, details, SKUs, price, quantity in SAP matches, and then finally it posts into SAP Business One. So let me show you how the complete validation is done with appse AI. So here you can see it's a vendor invoice that we have received. This is a sample invoice, right? So we'll be using this for the demo purpose today. Now, let us go into the flow and let me give you the details or break down the flow one by one. Let's run the flow once. So here we can see that the invoice is being fetched, and then there are multiple layers of checks that is going on, right? If the invoice, the details doesn't match, we get a Teams notification, and even if it does, we get a notification with the exact details and in the communication. So it can be a Teams communication channel, it can be Slack, or anything that is used in the organization. So once the flow is done, it runs successfully. A draft AP invoice is now created on the SAP side. Let's go into the SAP side and see. So here we can see the doc number, and we will search with the exact doc number on the SAP. That's 1165 here. And now we'll go into the SAP side and let's check with the same doc number. So moving on to the documents draft reports in SAP. Once I open this, I can see the AP invoice 1165 that has been posted. And once we open it, we see all the line items, the quantities, the price, everything that was there in the vendor invoice matches with the AP invoice that we have created. So this is a draft invoice that we have created. And you can also see that all the validations have passed. It has, and passing those validations, it has created the invoice. And there was always a human validation gate in front of every posting, right? So even if it's posting or not posting, there is a human validation gate, even when AI has been used. So you also get, as mentioned, you also get the notification over Teams. So in the complete process, we see a PDF to a posted invoice with a human checkpoint in between, zero manual entry, works with any PDF format, and with full audit trail. For the second scenario, let's see what Shubham has in store for us.
Thank you, Deepta. So coming to the second scenario, which is our demo 2 for today. So this scenario addresses that today EDI orders queue up waiting for someone to manually transform and key them into the respective ERP. And what it does in turn is this delays, pushes back the fulfillment time, and it also hampers the revenue recognition. So now I will show you the full EDI loop, which will handle this specific scenario. So what we have done here is we have segregated it into two separate subtasks. Our first flow addresses the EDI order ingestion part. So whenever you will receive a EDI 850 purchase order in your respective file directory, this particular flow will fetch those EDI files, and then it will create a quotation on the ERP side. In this scenario, we're using SAP Business One. Once the quotation is created, this is when it will check if all the mandatory information that is provided in the purchase order is valid or not, if there is the SKU is available in the ERP or not, if there is ample stock for the specific item or not, or let's say if the price is correct or not. If all the demands are satisfied and all the checks are passed, only then we perform this mandatory check option and the flow goes on to the next part. In here, we will check whether we can create a sales order or not. If the validations are passed, we will immediately go and create a sales order in the ERP side. And again, we will generate a success status. This success status would be generated in a JSON format, which we again convert into a EDI 997A, which again sends it back to the directory from which the purchase order was fetched. So basically, you send a purchase order via EDI, we create quotation and order in the respective ERP, and we send the acknowledgement back to your directory that, okay, your order was successfully created. And let's say in case of any error, any validation was, let's say, a particular SKU was mismatched. So there was a validation error. It will immediately create a reject status. This reject JSON will again be converted into an EDI 997 reject request, which will again be uploaded to the respective file directory so that you are always made aware that, okay, due to this reason, the sales order couldn't be created on the ERP side. So let me show you the file directory and let's show you the exact EDI file that I have. So if I open this up, you will see I have this Tradercom's final EDI. If I open this up, so the format that I'm currently using is a Tradercom's EDI format, which is a type of EDI format. You can also have other formats like ANSI X12, etc. It wouldn't be an issue. So this is the current EDI that we're using. It has certain information about the specific account, the quantity, the line items, the address, etc. Currently, I know you cannot encrypt anything from this data, but you will see when I run the flow, you will have a detailed sales order created in the ERP side. So let me save this and run the first part of our flow. You can see we are fetching the EDI files from a directory. Then once we filter out the EDI files, because there might be multiple EDI files, but you would only need the file which contains the purchase order. So we have put a filter here. Now it is trying to generate a quotation. It is doing the vanity validation check, and now it is on the way to create a sales order. Once the sales order is created, as you can see, it has gone to the success part of the flow, and we are uploading a 997 acknowledgement in our file directory. Again, the reject part, the flow doesn't go to the reject section because obviously we have created a sales order, all the validations have been passed, and we have also generated our acknowledgement status. So let me show you the sales order which has been created. The doc number is 1298. Let me copy this and quickly go to SAP. Let me close this and open the modules of sales and open sales order, and let me just type out this doc. Okay, as you can see, we have in the customer reference number, we have put the file name, the EDI file name, so that you get a clarity that this was the exact EDI purchase order, which was converted to a sales order. We have linked the customer account. We have also put the line item. So every detail that was there in the purchase order has been decrypted and converted into a JSON format and then put in the form of a sales order. Now, let me show you the acknowledgement that should be received by now as well. So this is where you can see there is a status that your file has been uploaded successfully in this specific folder. So you will your internal team, which is where the directory and the purchase order is stored, there you will receive an acknowledgement file that, okay, your sales order has been created and we have successfully received the EDI. Let me open this up. You can see there is an acknowledgement file that has been sent in this specific path. So this was the first part of our flow where we have created a sales order successfully from our EDI 850. Now let's go to the second part of the sales cycle where we will create and generate an invoice in SAP side and then send the invoice into a EDI format back to your directory. So let's go back to SAP and use this specific sales order only. Our first task would be to create a delivery document, so that in order to do that, we need to create the delivery first and then create the invoice document. Let me select a tax. I'm selecting exempt as of now, but again, you can choose any tax rate that you feel is the right one for your specific sales order. Perfect. We have all the information. Now let me add this up. So a delivery document is created. The next part would be to generate an invoice in the SAP site. This is our invoice. Okay. Now, one thing that you have to keep in mind is Your internal team should have a check on the ERP side so that they're always aware whether a particular document has been generated in an EDI format or not. So that is why we have certain UDFs here. You can maintain a UDF like this. We have a UDF called is EDI. So you can keep it at no, which will indicate your internal team that EDI 8110 invoice has not been generated yet. Only when the EDI is generated, this status would change to a yes. We have another option, which is to keep a flag. You can keep a flag and give it end status, which means the EDI hasn't been generated yet. And when the EDI would be generated, this flag status would be converted to Y, which is yes. So you can choose any option which is comfortable for you, but you should maintain this in order to maintain a transparency between your internal teams and your team which is handling the file directory. So let us quickly add this up. Perfect. So our invoice is now created. Let me quickly go and show you the second part of our flow. So this is the flow which will help in generating EDI 8110 invoice. So what we're doing here is we get the invoices that has the status of not yet converted to an EDI. We filter those invoices, then we check whether there are delivery note attached to the specific invoice. And after we get the delivery note, we also fetch the order that is attached to the invoice. Once we get all the three documents, we check whether the fields are matching or not, whether there is any kind of SKU mismatch or quantity mismatch or even price mismatch. So when all the validations are passed, we go and use our AI node to extract all the valuable information from the specific invoice, convert it into JSON. And after that, this is the most important part where we are converting the JSON into our EDI 8110 so that we get the EDI format. And then we are uploading this EDI in our specific file directory. At the same time, we're also updating the status of our invoice in our ERP site so that that invoice is not flagged as N anymore and it is changed to the Y status so that your internal team gets an indication that, okay, this invoice has already been converted to an EDI format. Again, we also have a human validation in loop so that your internal team can also be notified in case of any error. So if there is any validation error, you will immediately be notified in a Teams channel or any other communication channel. It can be Outlook, it can be, let's say, Gmail, etc. But you will always be notified of any kind of issues that is happening with your workflow. Let's quickly run this flow now. As you can see, we are fetching the data from the respective invoice file. Now we are currently uploading the EDI and updating the status in our ERP site. Again, it went to the true part of the flow because we didn't find any errors in our documents. But again, obviously, if you find any error, you will be notified of it. Let me quickly check the EDI. Okay, the file has been successfully uploaded. Let me quickly go to the directory and check. So our directory for the file is this one. Let me open it up. Okay, so if I now open this file, you would be able to see that our specific invoice has been converted into an EDI format. You wouldn't be able to read every details because obviously it's in an encrypted format. But again, you get in clarity that that's how easily your invoice generated in your ERP can be transformed into an EDI and put directly to your file directory. Only what you would need is to mention the path. Perfect. Our flow has also completed execution. We are almost at the end of this particular flow. So just to brief you up, this was a full EDI loop which involved an inbound purchase order, generating a sales order, and then an invoice generating in ERP is converted to an outbound invoice. And every stage there was an approval and alerting built in so that you get notified always. Okay, handing back to Deepta for the last part of a demo.
Thank you, Shubham. So let's then head towards the third scenario, wherein today we are looking at closing the books and the bank statements. We generate the uh, we try to map the bank statements with the transactions. So what happens today is closing the books means eyeballing every statement, every bank statement, line by line against the SAP Business One payments, right? One at a time. So it is definitely a difficult and a time-taking task. So what happens with appse? Let's look into that. So let's look into the flow that we have designed for this scenario. So in here, what we see is we are receiving the bank statements over emails, right? And this can be any email format. So it can be Outlook, it can be Gmail, it can be any application of email that you are using in your organization. In this case, we have used Outlook for this demonstration. So we are getting the emails, we are picking up the unread emails from our inbox, we are getting the email attachments, we are then decoding the statement that we are getting. It's a PDF statement or any kind of for any formats that we are decoding. We are sending it to our open AI, wherein we are using an AI node here, and then we are converting the complete statement, and finally we are getting the invoices in the SAP Business One side. Now, there we also see it's a there we have used a very small decision node which actually gets the decision. So if it is a yes, it's gonna create the draft payment in SAP, and then it's gonna send out the notification to Teams. Again, it can be any notification channel, it can be Slack, Teams, anything. We are using Teams in this scenario. And if it's a false, then it will just go out and send a notification to Teams saying that this needs a review, and so that the internal team, the backend team, gets a notification and can act on it accordingly. Now let's work on the cycle. Like let's start the cycle, run the cycle once. So first of all, you can see we have a bank statement here in our email. I am not opening this statement due to security issues, but we are working with the same statement for this demonstration. Now let's go back to the flow and run this. So once we run the flow, you see how fast and how easily all of these nodes are executing. And the most interesting part is for every node, for every flow with appse, you get to see the transaction status here with every node. So if there is an issue on any of the nodes, you get to see the transaction there itself, and you can move into the node, open the node, and make certain changes if required. So that's how simple and transparent appse is with all flows. Now let's quickly go into the SAP Business One. So this is the doc number that we are going to search for in SAP. It's 235. Let's go back to SAP. So we are going into reports, banking, and payment draft reports. And you can see the incoming payment has been listed here, right? So this is document number 235, as we saw in the appse transaction log. And this is what the incoming payment draft looks like. Now, again, we are posting a draft payment here so that the team internally can look into it, review it, and then approve it so that then it goes into the final incoming payment list. Why? Because we understand that we are using AI, but with every step, we are also having a human in loop so that the human validation check is always there. So, all in all, what we did in this flow is appse parses the bank statement as a PDF. It matches the transaction against these open SAP B1 invoices automatically, and then only surfaces the exceptions for you to review. If auto matches the transactions on its own, and it closes the transaction cycle 3 times faster, right? So everything matched, clean, posted. Sorry. Everything that didn't, flagged for you with a full exception log for audit and for your review. That's all three. Let's unpack what you just saw. So here is the recap. So here's the shift side by side. The line by line grind of retyping every vendor invoice becomes AI extracted AP invoices with that human validation gate still in place. Matching bank statements one line at a time becomes auto transaction mapping, only exceptions coming to you. And the orders stuck in a queue becomes end to end EDI automation, approval, gates, and all. It's the
So,
same closed cycle, a fraction of manual work.
okay. So, before we wrap this up, I want to address something that people often ask whenever they see AI automating business processes. A common concern is that if AI is making all the decisions, how much control do we actually have in our hands? The answer is very simple. You are always in control. The AI isn't just running on its own and hoping everything goes right. First, let's talk about accuracy. So, AI takes care of extracting information, matching records, and handling the repetitive work. But whenever something doesn't look quite right or falls outside your business rules, it can be sent immediately for a human review. So, you will still get the speed of automation, but you won't be compromising on accuracy. Next, the second thing is audibility. So auditability is where every action that AI takes is recorded. Whether something was approved, automatically reviewed by a user, rejected, or even overwritten, there's a complete history and log available for that. That means if someone asks what happened to a particular transaction, you can trace every step with confidence and surety. So finally, the third part is control. Every business works differently. So we don't force a one size fits all process. You decide where exactly human approval is required. Maybe it's high value invoices, or let's say first time vendors, or even transaction mismatches. So you decide the scenario that's more important to your business. You will define those rules and the AI will simply follow them. So rather than replacing your existing controls and systems, this AI actually helps strengthen them while taking away all the repetitive manual effort.
So I think this is a very interesting question, like why appse AI, right? So why appse AI specifically? Four main reasons. ERP native AI. So this comes with over 10 years of SAP B1 integration expertise at appse Connect. So it understands ERP documents, its document types, not just generic PDFs. No code configuration. So 90% of the use case needs zero code. Your finance team configures workflows in plain English. No IT is required. So basically, IT is optional. The security and certifications. It is SOC 2 Type 2 certified with ISO 27001 2022 certification and as well as GDPR compliant. Last but not the least, you go live faster. So typically, customers can go live in hours, not months, no heavy implementations, and everything can be as quick.
Okay, so that's everything we wanted to show you. Three live workflows all running inside real SAP Business One instance. Let's now open it up for some questions. You can drop them in the chat as they come to mind. Okay, we have an interesting question here. What happens if the AI can't find a matching purchase order or the goods received doesn't line up with the invoice? Does it just guess or does it block the payment? I think this is about the first demo. Deepta, can you take this question?
Yes, absolutely. That's a very good question. So it does not guess, it doesn't post. If there is no matching PO, then it will simply post a notification over the channel, the Teams channel, or any communication channel that is using, so that your internal team can look into it and can review it.
Thanks for the answer. I think we have another question, which is what's actually happening with the transaction that don't match? I think this is about the transaction flow. So the question is, do the transaction just sit there or is there a review queue allocated to it? Yes, Dipta.
Yes, thank you, Shubham. So again, they don't get forced matched. They don't disappear either. So that's it's the same process, the same thing that I mentioned earlier as well. Again, if there is a mismatch, the transactions that are only matching and matches cleanly against the SAP B1 invoice gets a draft payment created automatically on ACP. Anything that is not matching, it's skipped from this auto posting step and is left for someone to review. Again, a notification to the Teams channel so that the internal team can review and look after it. I think we have got another question. So we get EDI files from multiple trading partners in slightly different formats. Does this handle that? Or does each partner need custom setup? I guess, Shubham, you can take this question up.
Yes, absolutely. So today what you saw running live is built on the TraderCom CDI format. But the parser and the AI extraction step underneath it are both built to be format agnostic. So the same flow also works with, let's say, ANSI X12 PDI format as well. So since our JSON conversion and AI parsing logic are customized in such a way that they can handle any structure altogether. So every incoming file still goes through the same mandatory field validation, and anything that doesn't validate automatically triggers a 997 R rejection straight back to your file directory. So nothing fails silently. Exactly whatever format and edge cases applied to your setup, uh, in that format, you would be notified. So yeah, I hope this answers your question.
Great. I think we don't have any other questions at this point, and if there are anything further, we can definitely take it up offline. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So that's everything that we wanted to showcase today. And if anything that you saw today is worth closer look at your own setup, and if it's anything that is very relevant to your business process, please feel free to reach out to us. We would love to talk, love to understand what your business process is. It's a very easy process. You can get in touch with us very easily. You can clearly go into the appseai.com, book a 30-minute call with our team, absolutely free. The consultation is absolutely free. We can help you out throughout the process. And you can also go into the website and configure your first workflow. No code, no IT is required, right? And yeah, that is all from us today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in us with us today. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you all for spending this time with us today. I hope you've had a great time learning and using AppsEI. Thank you.